Welcome to the Dealmaker Show, the #1 place for entrepreneurs and dealmakers to learn about leveraging and generating status, frame control, and narrative power to close big deals. Here is your host, investment banker, deal-making expert, and best-selling author of Pitch Anything and Flip the Script, Mr. Oren Klaff.
Welcome to the podcast. Did you hear all that? No, you didn't, because the mic was muted. I'm Oren Klaff. This is the Dealmaker Podcast. I'm very excited to be here today because I have an incredible guest that I'm going to let. Normally, by the way, I talk for a lot of minutes and the guest just has to sit there and going, why am I here again? But not today, because I have just a guy, Tank Jones, who was on Breaking Bad, CSI Miami, and you can look at his IMDb, but he is a very interesting person. Let me let him on and let him speak for himself. Hey, Tank, thank you for being here.
What's up, Oren? Say so famous. I have to think about. Wait, I got to tell you how famous. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah. So, but this guy, can I talk about you and you know, in the third person? But Tank is a very interesting character. If you look at there's so much I want to talk to him about today in the overlap between acting and being in business. And I have developed a thesis or a new psychological theory, especially for this interview, that I want to share with you. And as an actor, thespian or lesbian or whatever you are, right?
I'm not even going to touch that one, okay?
All right. Thank you. Because we veer off into...
as thespian.
So I have a new psychological thesis that you will be able to either invalidate or validate. But what we're trying to do here is take people who are listening, spending their valuable time. I mean, it's a Tuesday at 12 o'clock. People are doing things. They're in the coal mines of their accounting career, of their SaaS software sales, of, writing a white paper, and now they're spending time with us. So we have to do something. Like, you aren't famous enough and I'm not good enough that we can just sit here and just have a chat. We got to produce something.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take issue with that, and I'm gonna completely disagree with that. You are good enough, you are strong enough, and darn it, people love you. Say, as far as I'm concerned, I'm interesting enough, and the whole thing about it is that I'm alive. We'll get to that point in a minute, but I could have not been here. And of all the things that I could have been doing, like knocking at death's door, I chose to be here with you. So let's have some fun with that, shall we? I refuse to frame our time together in the way you started off this conversation, sir. So let me give it to you. I'm going to push it back on you. You are good enough. That's the reason why I'm sitting here, Oren. I love it. So
let's just call that Queen's Pawn to King's Rook 4.
Bam. That's
brilliant. Well done. Well done. So let's slow it down a little bit.
All right.
One thing that has bugged me forever is when I have to go in and give a pitch. I have to write a pitch on I'm doing one right now, a cannabis industrial park. So
we got to talk, but go ahead, finish.
So it's the actual manufacturing facility for cannabis. It's not like the sexy part or distribution or smoke. They build the infrastructure that whatever cannabis goes. So anyway, I got to pitch that, right? And I got to make an introduction, and there's lines I have to learn. So there's a 500-word intro that really explains this whole thing. So you go to the internet and you type in how do actors learn lines. And I expected there to be the Tank Jones method, the Al Pacino method, the method of learning lines. And apparently there's no method. You just...
You will never get that going online, Oren, because nobody likes to tell their quote secrets of what they do, thinking that it's just something it's too complicated. I don't want to tell you what I do. So then, because there's only a limited amount of roles, which is complete garbage right now because all the streaming and everything that's going on. But yeah, there is no method other than what you learned in school. It's and what you and I have actually talked about. It's rehearse. It's repetition. It's going over it again and again and again. I think there was, I don't remember the question that you posed on your feed, but it was one in which I responded to, in which it was talking about I think it was how you learn a pitch and when you go into the meeting, what exactly are you going in? Are you going in just winging it? Are you going in to pitch it and really learn it so you know the ins and intricacies and outs of your pitch? And I think the first comment that I read on there was from some gentleman that talked about, no, you got to leave room in there for the customer and what they want. And then I saw you come back on him like, dude, you really should make sure that you know the ins and outs of what you're doing so well, like the back of your hand.
And by the way, you do not have to call my fans gentlemen, because that is not
anything.
We're not expecting that at all.
Bro, I grew up on a farm, man. Yes, sir, no, sir. I even say to my 9-year-old son, and when he asks me a question, say, Dad, I say, yes, sir. It's just ingrained in me.
That's awesome. So you have a 9-year-old. Okay, so I want to talk. There's so much to talk about, but just line learning.
Yeah.
I never found any way to learn lines except for writing it on index cards, doing it in front of a mirror, taping yourself, telling it to your grandma, asking her if she did a good job. Flubbing it. And then I've always said, like, and this is what I want your feedback on, when you finally go live, like that last 20% just is from pure fear. Your brain just goes, I'm so scared. I'm going to like open up these learning pathways that were previously closed.
Right.
I'm going to learn that shit right now.
There is something to that, man. They say people who cram generally still do better. I forget the percentage, but it's a pretty high percentage that they do well on a test, because they have short-term memory recall, but then after that, they forget it all after the test. For me, though.
Because I'm watching your clips, and they're awesome.
Thank you.
And people should watch them. And you're not always handed like the most awesome situations, but you really make acting out of it. Like, this is why I was excited to meet you and see you. You really, like, you are so many different characters, and they're not cliche. I mean, we can tell what the archetype is, but you're not just phoning it in, waiting for, Al Pacino to call, for Godfather 9 or whatever. You're really making something out of that scene with whatever you've been given. How do you learn the lines? And then we'll get into scene work.
First off, brother, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I seriously, sincerely, from any artist, whatever you like to be appreciated for your work. So I appreciate that sincerely. From the standpoint of how I learn lines. So since we've got a little bit of time, I'm going to elaborate a little bit for you. I'm going to go back and take you back to when I was a kid. Have you ever heard of the Awana Bible Camp?
Not yet.
Okay. So I'm from a small town, farm town in Illinois. And they used to pick up the kids around town, and they would take them to this Awana Bible Camp. It's kind of like a retreat. It was a church with different buildings. And when you go there, they would teach you the Bible. Then they had competitions for Bible verses. And whoever could memorize the most Bible verses, they give you these things called shares. And when you memorize a verse, you got to share. And if you got so many shares, you got to get things like candy bars, Doritos, snacks, things like that. So I ended up memorizing the most verses of anybody that was there, because I wanted to be able to go to the Sugar Shack so I could get candy bars, and Snickers, and Twix, all the stuff that's not good for you. But it was good for me. But I had a motivator. The point with that, there was something that was motivating me to memorize those verses. Besides learning the word and internalize it in my heart, that's just a foregone.
Is that how it still works today? You're like, I'm going to go down to Starbucks and order, a triple caramel frappuccino, and 3 of those blue, scary-looking lollipop things.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but there's this thing called insulin when you get older.
Yeah.
When you get too much of it, it leads to something else that might lead to you losing something. And I want to keep what I got. You know what I'm saying? So
how do you lever that early experience into what you do now?
So the way in which that I learned, and I basically learned the technique, if you will, early on, besides having something that's driving me to make sure that some end goal, some prize that's driving me, I have to do this, which is the most important mind frame. It's going over it. And if I'm stumbling on my words when I'm memorizing, and again, it's my first thing, Oren, I'm just reading it. I'm reading it without trying to memorize it for the first couple of times. I'm trying to connect when I'm doing a character. I'm trying to connect with the material. And my wife will tell you, sometimes she'll see me reading the script and there's a character like, I'm just not connecting with this guy. And I read it again. I'm not trying to memorize it the first couple of times that I read it. I'm just trying to connect. So that's my first thing. I'm trying to connect with the material. Once I find a quote hook point that interests me, oh, I found something that interests me about this person. Then I begin to start to find different beats that, all right, this makes sense. How would I say this if it were me? If I were in this particular situation, and then I just keep going over it. Before I know it, it's starting to become internalized. And I build it beat by beat by beat. I connect, I find the beats, and then I just keep plowing through it, and I begin to practice it. Oh, I didn't like that. So I'll go over it again. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, I like that. What if I was able to say it this way? Well, how about I do it this way? So connecting with the material is first and foremost. Then reading it till you find something in there where you can put some inflection on it. Test the inflection. I like it. I don't like it. I like it. Let's try it. Can we do it a different way? And practice it so much to the point that when I get up on set, I better have forgotten it. I better have forgotten the material, because that's what allows me to be, quote, live in the scene. I'm now reacting and I'm responding to whomever the actor or actress is that I'm playing against. So how they give me the lines, I now can respond in return. And knowing that I've done the work over and over and over, the repetition, I know I'll be able to have it and I'll be able to recall. I'm not even concerned when I get on set about recalling. I'm more concerned, like, am I giving that actor or actress what they need for their performance? And the only way I can do that is if I go over my material over and over and over again, connect with it, find the beats, and go through it until I know it so well I don't know it anymore.
All right. On that, are you, Tank Jones, so special because of your career arc in acting and the acting situations you've been in and the lines you've had to learn over time that you now have the skill set? And Joe, SaaS sales guy, the CEO that I have trying to sell his $50 million company, can't do that with 500 words, or 20 lines because they're not actors, are not trained? Or are you saying that that's the process that anybody can do, or you can do it because of the extensive situations and the special just mind that you have for acting and empathy? But can anyone do this, or do they need to really be in entertainment to follow those instructions you gave?
I'm getting ready to give you a little bit of credit, man. In your book, say in Pitch Anything, you talked about the fact you have all of these gentlemen and all these guys who are, quote, skilled. And they go in, and this is a technique, something that nobody else can learn. You're either born with being a salesperson or you're not. And then you came in with your idea of the strong method, and you turn that on its head. The reason, Oren, that you turn it on your head, because you mentioned one of the first deals that you did when you had a, quote, master of the universe in front of you, is he was like, wait a minute, nobody does that with me. How did you do that? And then you explain to him the methodology, and then he talks about, well, how many hours do you have in that? And you said you have over 10,000 hours in it. And that assumes then that, not even assumes, that you've practiced. You've done it over and over and over and over again. And that doesn't mean you're going to spend 10,000 hours on a 500-word pitch. But you obviously have pitched to get capital for your business before. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a business.
So, yeah, 1,000,000%. And actually, to dig a little bit deeper into that, when you see these movies about, these rappers and they're unfolding, or comedians are unfolding these tiny scraps of paper, and they've got lyrics, like Eminem and 8 Mile, they got lyrics, like scribbled, and lyrics between the lyrics, and lyrics on like the edge of the paper, right? And they run out of paper and they're writing on their hand. Like, that is real. Like, there's video of me from 6-7 years ago preparing for a conference speech. I got little scraps of paper and anything, I could write on, and then I'd be in an elevator. Just it is pervasive. If you want to, and by the way, guys, for those of you out here who are doing something with us, we're not asking you to learn Goodwill Hunting. Right?
Hey, I'm a phone member.
This is I have it here somewhere like oh, so now you're going to quote, but Botticelli from the 1470s and think you're a master of supply side economics, and then 50 years from now you're going to look back and said, I got a goddamn degree I could have bought for $3.50 in late fees at the public library.
Right, love it.
We're not asking you to memorize that. Okay,
right.
Just 250 lines that are randomly about your own company.
Right.
Right.
You would think that okay, so remember, and you asked me, I said, when I was a kid, the reason I brought up that story is because I had a goal. I had a mission. I had something that I was trying to complete because it was something I really wanted. It was important to me. I would think that all business owners, all CEOs, this is my baby. This is what I birthed. It's important to me. I want to make sure that whoever buys it carries on the legacy, and I want to make sure that I get the money that I have in return is commensurate to the effort that I put in and laid down for all these years. That's your why. So you got to start from there. Okay, you'll be passionate. The passion should already be there. That should be a given. So are you telling me in order to walk down this yellow brick road to selling my company and going off into retirement or into my next business is all I have to do is learn what I already know about my business, put it in order, do what I do with passion, use the strong method, and sell. This is my passion shows through, but I just do it and articulate it in a given structural way. That's all I got to do. I can do that. So yes, anybody can do that. You proved it. And if anybody's listening to this, they already know. If they've read any of your stories, they know you proved it.
Yeah.
I'm talking, and that's why I'm intrigued talking with you, because the two things they coincide. They're parallel. They go in tandem. It's the same thing.
Well, thank you. Here's why I'm interested in talking to you, because you are in the mix daily doing things that a lot of people only do once in a while, right? Yeah. Get up and present, and so I've sort of formed this, and I haven't talked about it before. I was waiting to meet you, that people are becoming in today's business the average of what everybody wants them to be. And so that's why you can't see the person. And so I'll give you a quick story. And every once in a while, you'll meet somebody who's, whatever the word is, anachronistic or so nicheified, like they're not in the outside world. They're just in there, like a painter or a garbage man. But my son, he's 7, and he has he races go-karts, or these little cars, which I talk about a lot. But he has a coach that does not really understand how to work with children, right? Okay. He works with children, but like a driver to him is a driver. So my 7-year-old comes in off the track, and he's like a movie character right out of Central Casting. Asher, right. Look, there's 2 kinds of drivers: drivers that are fucking slow and drivers that are fucking fast. Which one are you?
Got it.
It's a lot to process, but I don't complain about it, because he is not the average of what his wife wants him to be, what the parents want him to be, what the kids want him to be. Like, he is just dedicated to getting race car drivers, 7-year-old, 75 years older, faster on the track. And he hasn't paid attention to what people want him to be.
Yeah.
And so and so the opposite of that, and I'll turn it over to you. This is a very long question or premise. But I find like people are subservient to 5, 7, 9, 15, 25 masters. And they're whatever their core character is lost. A, it's been lost. And B, there's a sense in business, even if it's Hollywood, that the deal requires you to be divested or differentiated or separated from who you are.
Okay.
And I believe, one, we got to find that core center, who we really are, want to be, and not be afraid of it. And B, bring it to the business deals, not take it out of the business deals. So there's a lot there to unpack. But my first premise is people are just averaging themselves out because they're trying to satisfy too many masters with their personality. As an actor, how do you view that or respond to that?
Shoot, well, I'm gonna just respond to it as a human being and someone who's observing the world very similarly to you. And I think that you're absolutely correct. We're right now, we have these conversations sometimes, and yeah, I know I'll bring it back to acting here in a second, but we are now slaves to, if you will, quote, algorithms, and people are getting roasted oftentimes for standing out. What's the analogy? Say the nail that stands up gets hammered.
Yeah.
So, and when you have these different things that you go after, if you will, and when they don't work out, well, I just want to chill out and just do this and be this. I don't want to be the nail that stands up because I don't want to make waves. I don't want to be vilified. I don't want people going after me. I just want to chill, live life. I'll present it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, oh well. And that's the quote average. That's also goes in line with the 80-20 rule. Well, which side of that coin are you trying to be on? Are you trying to be on the 80% or are you trying to be on the 20%? So the 20% that learn how to stand out, learning that is actually your that's your unique sales proposition, is you. You go in, I go into an audition as Tank Jones. I'm that character, but who is it? He played in Gone with the Wind. What? Gosh dang it. Is it Cary Grant?
Yeah.
Where they would say for the longest time, Cary Grant was the same character in every movie, over and over and over again. And John Wayne was the same character in every movie, over and over and over again. But you know both of those names. And they stood out in each one of those films. They were themselves and they brought themselves to that role every single time. Well, people were coming and showing up and paying to see them do that. That was their unique sales proposition. It was who they were. They were just doing it on screen. People that are afraid to be themselves, they deal with a lot more anxiety, with a lot more when you're just trying to conform. What type of life is that? Where did you leave your mark on life? If you have children, what type of legacy are you leaving for the kids? I think about all of these things.
Yeah, I do too. And this isn't a webinar how to be a good person. That'll be from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. How to be a good person. It's $24.95 to attend.
But see, here's the thing, Oren. If people who know me know this, I'm not giving you the rah-rah speech. This is actually, bro, who I am. You guys may not know this, but I went to, for over a decade, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, Fortune 500 companies, colleges. I spoke to kids about creative ways to deal with life issues, peer pressure, bullying, why it's important to believe in yourself, respect one another. This is ingrained, and this isn't just me. My uncle used to tell me, Oren, you can't change the world. And I said, well, I can change the world around me, and I can do what I can to talk to somebody and affect them. And hopefully that will then affect their world, because whatever your world is what's around you. It's not what's happening in India if you're not in India and you don't have any connections. So I'm not trying to give you fluff or BS. This really is just who I am.
So let me push on that.
Okay.
And thank you for saying that. So you go to do a role, right? And so what was one of your favorite roles that really caused you to really, think about the character and was very different, from sort of different from.
I'm gonna give you a great story for a film, and I always, the best role is always the last one. But I'm gonna go back to a film that I did a year ago, because it comes out, I think, later on this year. It's called Paul's Promise. Some of you actually may have already heard about it because they had commercials when the Hula Bowl was playing. They had a commercial, I think, every commercial break on this film. The people who produced this film are friends of mine. They also like my work. So they called me up, asked me if I wanted to do the role. The character's name, Tank. Ironically, they actually named the character after me before, hoping that I would play the role before they asked me. So it's based, though, on a true story. My character is the brother of a gentleman who actually did exist. When you'll hear about the film soon. And I'm getting into this character. I'm reading how the script was written. And I come across a piece after I finished the script and I was asked what I thought about it, I said, you know what? I honestly, again, I'm hired as an actor, not as a producer in this role, in this particular position. But I told my wife, Oren, I said, there's something missing here. I said, I'm not feeling something with this character. I think something's off. There's something that needs to be told in the story with him and his brother that's not being told in the script right now. And it's throwing me off. And I really want to tell them. And she said, well, they're just hiring you for being an actor. Just be the actor. Just do the part. I couldn't sleep, man. I said, I can't do that. So, because they're friends and I want the movie to be as good as it can be too. So I call up my producer friends from the movie, and because they're asking me, I said, and I told them the same thing. I said, I think there's something missing here in this relationship. You've got two characters here who are the only dark brown people in the project, and you have them, quote, at odds with each other. And I don't think that that's the image that we want to portray, particularly because of what the goal of the movie is. And it's bothering me. I had to tell him and say, well, we sat down together, or we tweaked together. I gave them my ideas, and instead of them being upset about it, they were very appreciative that I had the passion and I was thinking about the project just like them. I wanted it to be the best that it could be for any community that watches it. And one of the cool things, I'm finished with this part. There's one scene that we did that we actually wrote on the bus and we shot it the night of. One of the producers called me up when they got the final product and they said, it's our favorite scene in the movie. Thank you for caring so much.
That's awesome. I want that's triggering a bunch of things in me, but I want to stay on this because a lot of the people here who will see this are in business.
Yes.
In like
probably 99%. Yeah.
They'd sell this.
Okay? They sell this. Sell me this pen.
And like the software that runs this, right? Yes. And like, this, like stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And they're like, yeah, okay, you actors and speakers talking to each other, but like, I'm actually got to go to work. All right. And sell this SATA SSD solid state 1 terabyte 3D nano drive upload cyber security software to enterprise clients.
Yes.
So what triggers me in something that you said is you sat there and you said something is missing. And I feel like we need those of us who are in business, doing accounting, doing financial modeling, giving PowerPoint presentations, walking through value propositions and features and benefits. We need to give ourselves permission to say something is missing. This feels flat. Like that is not good enough. If something is missing, but the problem is we don't have the tools, and this is where we want to call on you. We don't have the tools of acting and entertainment and character development and script. Oh, and also it's not a script. It's a real world, like actual job, but not to put that on you, but so, oh, what's my motivation? What's my motivation here? Oh, my motivation is I'm trying to get a paycheck to feed my family.
Amen.
That's my motivation. So all right, hold on, let me encapsulate this. So we feel something is missing from the presentation. Like we know it is. We know it's the story or it's flat or something. But in your mind, what do we pull in to fill that hole in business? Because you're in business too.
Yes.
How do we fill that hole if we're not Tank Jones?
Oren, you said it, man. I know you said, well, we got these people and they're listening to this. You said it. The two things are parallel. They run in tandem. Just because I'm on the screen saying it doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to business. If you're sitting, when we talked about the CEO who's trying to sell his business, when you have something that pops up in business and you're going over the plan, you have a presentation coming up. Give me a scenario so that I can.
Sure. So we're selling a industrial park, industrial park development that's going to be 6 months in build. So there'll be no cash flow. Then there'll be a tenant in it. It's 50,000 square feet. It's a $20 million project. And once completed, it will generate a 10% cash on cash return.
Okay.
You're like, give me another one, motherfucker.
This is real world. I'm dealing with this right now.
I love you. You see that? I'm dealing with this one. All right. I love that. So good. So good.
I said, ask you, as far as the question goes, how you say 20% and the person they're going to have, there's delayed gratification there.
Yes.
What is the reason that in your mind, if you took yourself, Oren, and you put yourself in your, or whomever it is, salesperson, CEO, I just so happen to know because you've already said it, put yourself in their position. What is it that they want out of this? I'm going to give you something real quick. Part of my technique when I'm building a character, we didn't talk about this, and this is directly applicable. What is it that I'm trying to get? What type of response am I trying to evoke out of the partner that I have in my scene?
Great. The response I want is, this is hard, right? Like, you're doing something that takes so many different disciplines. Mm-hmm. Like, it's this, even though it's not exciting, it's not a movie, right? Or we haven't invented a new kind of semiconductor. We're not going to Mars, right? We're not building the homes that they're going to live in Mars. Like, it's very normal, but it's still exciting because itself is hard to do. That's what I want them to feel, is like, wow, like this is so disciplined and so difficult. This is a really hard project, and it's awesome to see it come together.
Okay. Why don't you take yourself out of the picture for a while? And this goes with anybody. Sometimes you get it's the forest for the tree scenario. Take yourself and step back from it and look at it from a 360.
How'd I do?
How'd I do? Where you go?
You said get out of the picture.
I literally, okay. Let's figuratively speaking, okay.
All right, bro. I'm okay. So mentally,
I can tell we'll be friends. I like you. All right. But yeah, take the 360, 50,000 degree aerial view, the whole picture from front to back. And I know you know this, so we're just having this conversation. So you can get it out of me, but I'm gonna keep people on this. They've read your book, obviously. When you got the deal for the airport, you lived there for a while. You got to know the people. As an actor, when I'm reading the script, I'm getting to know the people that I'm interacting with in this story. What's my relationship to them? When we're doing scenes together, what type of emotions am I trying to get them? Am I trying to get them to love me? Am I trying to get them to hate me? Am I trying to convince them to let me go on the trip with them and they pay for it? Whatever the scene is, I teach this to my son. What's the motivation? What are you trying to get out of the other party? And then you turn it around and you become the other party. And when they hear you, what are they hearing from you? Put yourself in their shoes. How is this coming across to them?
So you're pulling something up in me. Can I just respond? Like, I feel like, and we talk about this internally, what I want people to understand about the work we do is we don't stop when we're tired. We stop when we're done. Like, so I will tell somebody, like, one of the first steps we'll do, we're selling your company. I want to go sleep a night in the office, see who comes in the morning, like, just breathe that office air. Like, I'll come put a cot in your office and I want to live it. Yeah. We just want to experience it. Like, because, sometimes we quote things wrong, or we take on projects we shouldn't, and to our negative, but I think it comes across in who we are, is we just keep going beyond the point where we probably should quit. We don't stop when we're tired. We stop when we're done. And I think that's what we're trying to get across to people, because otherwise, if we just do the features, benefits, values of our business, there's 1,000 other companies that do, the exact same thing, including, Frederico, who just graduated from Stanford yesterday, and we've been in business for 15 years, but that guy does the same things as we do as an advisory, But what he doesn't have is the experience and the cycles and the reps and just this mindset of we don't stop just because there's a speed bump or something's difficult or we're tired. We get it done somehow. That's what we trade on, and we will try and like build that into everything that we are and bring that across. So that's what you triggered in me when we're trying to explain to people, where our passion is or where we come from or our differentiation or how we operate.
I think another way to say the same thing is do the work. If you, it's a funny saying, but it was a movie. You say, never stop, never stopping. But do the work. I know you are, but I still got to ask the question. Are you familiar with Six Sigma?
With what?
Six Sigma.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So quick synopsis. Maybe some people on here who are familiar with it, but don't know the genesis of it. Started Motorola's mid-'80s. Motorola was getting their proverbial asses kicked by Japan because they had too many defects in their electronic properties. They had two scientists to come up, and they came up with Six Sigma, i.e. 6,000% improvement. Everybody thought it was impossible. They proved it. And then when they proved it, other companies used it. It got into the hands of Jack Welch and then took off and became a phenomenon. And now roughly over 70% of Fortune 500 companies use it today. My good friend, Dr. Michael Harry, was one of those two scientists. He had a very successful consulting practice. He was my son's godfather. And he passed away a couple years ago, but my very good friend. We talked about Six Sigma a lot, and he had this instance called the Great Discovery to use it for small business and help small business and young entrepreneurs and people apply it to their life and their business so they can have 6,000% success as well. The reason why I brought all of that up is we sat down and I have this parallel piece. I broke down what he said into something that's palatable for the average person. And it's you can. And it's an acrostic, UKAN. And when people see that, say that's not how you spell you can. And that right there, most people, when they see a situation, they always see the problem first. But within every problem lies the solution. You, it starts with you. You must know who you are, know what you want. K, make a no, you, it starts with you. K, know what you want. A, make a plan to get it. N, keep moving forward with a never give up attitude. Apply that if you apply that methodology to whatever you're doing, you can have success in that area with methodologies like strong supporting you. But one of the pieces that we always talked about is when you've got a problem, you have to be able to know what's propelling you forward. He called it the Six Sigma way of thinking, or SWOT analysis. Know what's propelling you forward. 3 things that you can articulate in 3 words. Then know what's holding you back. At least three things. Articulate and how they're holding you back. And then you have to come up with at least 3, 5, 10, 15 solutions on how you're going to overcome that obstacle. Then begin to put them in place. So when you talk about pitching, I keep going back to the first comment that you had on that thread when the person, he didn't basically say you could wing it, but he basically said you could wing it. And I found when I do roles and I quote wing it, terrible performance. But if I've done the work beforehand, I will say something and ad lib something. And when the scene is cut, the director will say, oh, that was great. Can you do that again? But it wasn't originally in the script. And the only way I was able to come up with that is because I connected with the character so well, because I did the work to do it. I came up with all sorts of obstacles. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted out of the other person. I put myself in their position so I knew how I was saying, how it would come across to them. And then make the whole picture. See it from the top. What am I missing? And then what obstacles are preventing me from doing this? What obstacles in my mind and what obstacles in theirs? And when that creates the tension necessary. It creates, I know what they're going to say before I go in it. And I've got at least 3, 4, 5, 10 answers that I can come back with, depending on how they respond to me. I just described to you your methodology, his methodology, and my acting methodologies, and how they all go into the same world.
And if you didn't write all that down, for $18 following this class, you'll be able to, no, if you didn't write all that down, but yeah.
Just for $19.99. $1,999. All right, go ahead.
If you didn't write all that down, what you are watching here is process. This is so key, is get a process and then run all the situations. You know, a lot of people here have to go pitch, sell, business development. And if you find you're something, what should I do? They said this, maybe I should do that. What's the situation? Going to talk to people. Like that is, you don't have a process. When you run the process, get a process and run it. When you see people very sophisticated like this, when you see me doing it, right? What looks like, you know, I'll get on stage. I don't want to toot my own horn. We're going to have enough horn tuning, but I'll get on stage. People will say, oh, you know, I have a flower company, but we have cybersecurity software with the flowers, but we also develop photos and make donuts. Okay, good. Why don't you pitch a company like this, right? And then I pitch and like, oh my God, yeah, that's a pitch we've been looking for years. Like, can you say that again? How, like, I'm not actually processing 9 trillion lines of code of never before done stuff. I've done so many company pitches. I'm just running a process on it and coming out with it. But to people experiencing it for the first time, it looks like magic.
Yeah.
Roll tape on Tank, use his process, use my process, use Tony Robbins' process, use Joe Biden's process, use Trump's process. Well, no, actually don't do that.
He said, wait, excuse me, for the record.
Don't do that. But run a process that you feel is reliable, that you're in control of, and you can run, and you start to get improved outcomes, or at least improve your process. If you're winging it, to your point, step one of the things that are propelling you backwards is, hey, I'm winging it. I'm going on unprepared. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you were looking for improv class? Yeah, because we wanted a presentation on SaaS software. Improv is 2 buildings down, Second City right on it. You're going to love it. Hey, if you see the SaaS software guy walking in, send him back here because you are obviously not him.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But process driven. So I want to move backwards a little bit. Like I saw a clip, you were playing a military officer or general, and you were yelling at a guy. What movie was that?
That was Rotten Tail, which actually you can find on Amazon right now.
Okay. So, and can you give us a line? I mean, is it trademarked or proprietary? Can you give us a line? Can you get into that character real quick?
Oh shoot, it's been so long. I don't want to.
I know people are like, hey,
you guys, a disclaimer right now. There's going to be a bit of profanity in this.
Okay.
This is your 15-second warning right now to turn your speakers down.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have small children, the content of this following podcast will be inappropriate.
You have been warned. Say, you know who I am? The General Phelps. But yes, I'm General Phelps, which makes me the motherfucker that I don't have to tell you shit. Say, when I say jump, you say high, and you better be spring loaded otherwise and ready to jump off the motherfucking building. You understand that?
So we got to care. And what's interesting, just is 5 seconds, but you could see your characters, you started sinking into that character more and more just in 5 seconds. And now, here's what I'm trying to get to. And guys, sorry about the language. We get a lot of complaints about language, but you know, if you want to, we talk about all the time, if you want to get $100 million outcome somewhere and you think you're never going to hear some salty language, you're sadly mistaken.
Yes, especially in those rooms. I've been in those rooms too.
How much Tank Jones remains in these characters? Because that's what I'm trying to get to. Like, if I'm going to give a presentation in front of a room of CEOs and I've determined this is the character that's required for that room, how much Oren Klaff, in your mind, how much Tank Jones remains in this character that goes into that room? Like, how much is that character purpose built for that stage? Is it 50-50? Is it 25-75, 75? How do you think about you as a person, the character that's required for that stage, and how they mate to each other?
So I'm still coming out of General Phelps's head right now as you're talking to me,
Yeah.
right? I don't cuss much, Oren. But the character always has to have the spine of the individual. For me, it's I'm the spine of every character that I play.
So stop there. I just want you to just go deeper into that, because that's what I think people really will make a big difference in people's lives that I meet.
Okay. So
the character has to have the spine of the individual. My feeling is people don't believe that. They believe that the audience wants to see something that's different from who they really are.
I want everybody who is on your podcast, who is listening to this, who watches any movie, who follows any actor or actress, go back and look at their performances. There are only a handful of, not even a handful, you can count on maybe one or two fingers. I can think in my head Daniel Day-Lewis being one.
Right.
And I would have said Tom Hanks, but there's still that lovable Tom Hanks in every character. There's still, whenever you watch a Denzel character, Denzel is in every character.
But don't you think Gordon Levitt strikes me as somebody like sort of like an empty vacuum tube? You know, you can't, it's hard for me to see down into what's going on down there.
I challenge you on that, to go back and watch the performances and find if you don't see a quirk in even one of his movies that he does for every actor, whether it's a hand gesture, whether it's an eye movement, whether it's something that you see that's this close up where he gives the character next to him a look and say, that's Daniel Day-Lewis, that's Gordon Levitt. That's every actor has it, because that's what makes you you. That's your star power.
But if you look at him in Jumper,
I didn't say that you won't find differences. You can house your house. You can have a 4,000 square foot house and a 14,000 square foot house. Obviously, they're two different sizes. The gates come up, but the same person owns them. Oh, shoot, they have the same type of windows. I never noticed that before. Each house. And I'm saying there's something that every actor, I challenge, and come back to me. We'll pick this back up and you tell me if I'm wrong. But with every actor, there's something there that is still distinctly him or her. Meryl Streep being another one, who she's a chameleon, but she's still Meryl Streep. If you look at my my performance reel, you have General Phelps on one end, and then you have a gentleman that I played, Jim Young, who was also based on a true character, who was a slave.
I saw that.
And
yeah.
there are two
high contrast, very different. Very different.
But if there's certain pieces in there of both characters that are the same, and that essence is who I am. This is the reason why when I do a film, producers and directors bring me back. And if you look at my IMDb, I've worked with the same producers and directors at least 3 or 4 times, because I still give them something that's tank. I had the greatest compliment from a casting director that I think any actor could ever get. And that is
now I have you where I want you.
Okay, let's go.
Now I'm gonna put some pressure on you and some accountability.
Okay, let's squeeze. Now
with multiple roles you have to play. With Hollywood and entertainment being the way it is today, so fractured, you have to be on a moment's notice, be willing to play, Eminem, all the way to, the slave characters and anything in between, because it's the way it is. So you have to be available to be anybody at any time on very short notice.
Okay.
Be somebody else. How do you keep track of yourself, where you really are?
Okay, good question. And I have I have a response to that, because you were saying you have to be any character at any time, especially in this climate. Actually, there are certain roles, Oren, that I will not play because of that. Because if I can't connect to the character, there are certain choices, and I'm not saying my morals are better than somebody else's, or somebody else's morals are better than mine. I'm simply saying I base it on connection, and there are certain things that when I read the script or when I read the sides, if I cannot connect with that character, me, Tank Jones, if he cannot connect with what's on that paper, I will, even if I've gotten the role, I will humbly turn it down. Because I can't see, in my process, I still have to see myself in it. I still have to see myself. Have I been in that situation before? Have I been in that predicament before? No. Okay. Can I imagine myself in that predicament? Yes. Okay, let's proceed. Can I? No, I can't. Oh, that person lives this. No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's on the list of stuff that I just won't do on camera, because I do have to think about what am I portraying to someone else. Even though it's, quote, not me, it lives on forever. And is that
more pressure? Not something that's like offensive, to you, but something that's still mainstream, right? So you're not playing, the only black German Nazi officer, trans, gender.
You just put it all in there. Just put it all.
Right. Paralympic Nazi, black, transgender first. You're like, that's just not, I don't want to touch all those issues. Yeah. Something that's mainstream, but still you won't do because it's not tightly enough center to who Tank is. Is there anything?
There's nothing. So it's not really necessary putting pressure. Like I said, I have to go through the script first, and say there's certain characters that I try not to judge my character's morals. I try not to judge my character's behavior. But if I can't connect with it, I'm not able to do it. And I can't necessarily give you a role in which that's happened. But if it were ever presented to me, I can look and see I'm not connecting. I can't do it. And it would be the same with certain business deals. Since we're talking business deals. I have done that before, where I've walked away from certain business deals that looked lucrative and looked great because the parties involved, if I continue and I work with these people for this period of time, I don't see this being a good fit long term. Yes, it can make money, but is that the type of association that I want? No. Okay. I just had that situation happen, actually.
So I think in hearing you say this, my revelation on human insight here is that where the things that you won't do are, that's where your center is. That's where so it's hard to find your center in all the things you will do because there's so many different facets.
Yeah.
But then you boil it down to the things that I won't do.
Mm-hmm.
That is where you find your values, your character, your human nature. And that's where you find yourself. So for those of us who have to, go pitch a cannabis deal, have to pitch real estate, talk about SaaS software, do horizontal, maybe sell insurance, which is very horizontal in different industries. And you're just find yourself being different things to different people. Where am I? It's where you are is in the things that you won't do.
Agreed. Say, shoot, where's the line for you? Some people don't have one. I do have a line, and there's some things that I definitely won't cross. You asked, but I said it when I sit down and I can't connect, and a lot of it has to do with morals, but I don't want to get, like you said, it's not that kind of show, but I know what it is, and I will not cross it, no matter how much money you pay.
Since we're on a serious topic, and I hope this doesn't, touch a nerve or anything, but where the fuck are you? Like what?
Right now, in this particular moment in time, I'm in Chandler, Arizona.
Okay. I'm like, no, not what zip code are you in? Like what? They're like a fake plant and like a please. If you use the sugar, what does that say? If you use the sugar, please put a fresh spoon back in. And on Wednesdays, janitorial services will be here 9 to 11. Where are you?
Oh, right now behind me. No, what? I don't know what you see. Actually, yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm in one of the rooms that I normally shoot stuff in.
Okay.
And I have these placards that I have in this room. Two of them are Bible verses. One of them is live your life, dream daily, live joyfully, smile sweetly, breathe happily, and think positively. This is one of the rooms in my house that I typically will shoot an interview in front of because of the messaging. But because I'm so low on the chair, you can't see the messaging that well. But yeah.
Got it. No, thank you. I was just wondering that since the beginning. By the way, this is the inaugural show that we decided not to do any swearing on. So thank you for helping us achieve that goal. You really nailed it for us. You
should have asked me to do the other character. If you've seen that part, that's all General Phelps does.
Yeah, you can't see all these people here going, no more characters. That's
every line is a
no more characters, please.
But you did do the warning.
We did do. I got a few minutes left. Tell me about your son.
So, of course, and I have 3 kids, but yeah, my son, he's the youngest. He's 9, and as a matter of fact, he's up for a major television show himself. He's an actor, so I'll give you a quick story about it. My 2 girls who are 15 and 17. My oldest had done a national all detergent commercial with me. She did a couple YMCA shoots with me. My other daughter did a couple shoots with me. But I was always wondering, am I pushing them to do this with me, or is it something they want to do? And so I kind of stopped and I pushed them away. So when my son was of age, I didn't want to talk to him about taking pictures, none of that stuff. I didn't want him in the business. One day, he's 6 years old, 3 years ago. He comes to me and said, Dad, I want to be on TV. Out of nowhere, Oren. And I said, no, you don't. I laughed and said, no, you don't. And he's like, yes, I do. And we're doing this playful father and son back and forth. And I said, why do you want to be on TV? And then he looks at me with this really sheepish grin, man, and he says, I want to be on TV and make movies like you. I said, oh, shoot. So I had no choice but to help him. And he's done 2 films with me. One of them comes out later on this year, actually. It's called Coke Cartel. He plays my son in the film. He's shooting a film this Saturday. He plays a basketball player. And he's up for a major role for something that I can't discuss right now. And on top of that, he's in a school where he's studying Mandarin, robotics, engineering.
So this is modern parenting, by the way. Here's what's happening. Let me tell you what's happening. Tank is having his son live, his true life that he is authentic to him and really all the opportunities that are in our modern society. And he's also having him relive Tank's childhood. So he's got two. He's got 2 guys. He's got to relive your childhood more perfectly, and then in his spare time, he can live his own damn childhood. I understand.
Because there's always the surface reason, and then there's the underlying. Nah, I'm serious, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that kid.
That is awesome.
My girls on the entrepreneurial side, say maybe you saw this on some of my LinkedIn stuff or not. But my girls, 15 and 17, my 17-year-old has 4 streams of income. She has a nutrition business that she runs. My 15-year-old sat her mom and I down with drinks and snacks and went through a 30-page PowerPoint presentation where she has a shaved ice business that she wanted us to invest in. So she went over the pros and cons of investing in it. And I have a relationship with Macerich, which owns a lot of the malls. And we went to Chandler Mall, sat down. She had her 30-page business plan in hand, Oren. She had the leasing manager and she had the mall manager. I let her run the meeting. I was just there for support. And they took her around. And for her summer, she ran a shaved ice business at the Chandler Mall in Chandler, Arizona, man.
That's amazing.
I said, how many 15-year-olds have you had come in here with a 30-page business plan and articulate it to you?
No, that is none. That is me. And I think would it be good if I just send my son to come live with you? Because Father, may I have a pony? Oh, sure, son. I will send the Rolls Royce to pick one up for you. What time would you like it? Father, would 12 o'clock be too soon? Sure, son.
Good, man.
Sure, son. We'll have it for you right away. Father, I'd like to play polo. All right, I'll get you on the polo team.
Love it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, man.
So, there's your value. The values you're giving your children are amazing, and there's a lot that my wife and I can learn from you. Can we come spend some time with you, please? So you're in Arizona. I'm
in Arizona. I'm also in Santa Monica, California, but I spend most of my time here in AZ. This is where my kids go to school. So it used to be the other way around, but now we flipped it. Where I just commute back and forth there. But hey man, like I said, I'm listening to you. You have we have, I think, similar personalities. We click.
Very good. And what I love, I'm getting the hook on time. We're going over, but what I love is here's somebody who works in Hollywood, but lives where his kids are. Yep. And I love that.
Amen.
Thank you for coming here, Tank. I learned a lot, and I enjoyed my time with you, and I hope we can get together in person sooner than later.
Looking forward to it, brother. I appreciate it as well. Thank you, Oren.
Okay, guys, make sure to like this episode and join and subscribe so you can get – by the way, all we're going to do every week is just re-interview Tank. Like, there's nothing else. If we can continue to scroll up and get guests like this, it's going to be amazing. Join us every week. This has been the Dealmaker Show with Oren Klaff, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for listening, and be sure to stay tuned for more great content from Oren Klaff. If you want to get daily insights and additional assets, go to orenclaff.com/daily and sign up for a 7-day trial of the Daily Dealmaker. See you next time.